Welcome back to my channel. This is Josephine, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make baked tofu. This is one of my favourite ways to use tofu and prepare tofu, and actually a very requested video, as a lot of people who are new to tofu don't really know what to do with it. I can't wait to share this recipe with you, and perhaps this will turn into a bit of a series, as tofu is a super versatile ingredient. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. And of course, if you like this video, let me know what you'd like to see next. So, let's go! For this recipe, you want to use firm or super firm tofu. And as you can see, tofu comes stored in water. And because we want to maximize the flavor in this dish, we want to get as much of that water out so that we can let the flavors soak in. So I drain the water from the packet and I take out the block, and usually it's in a nice square like this. And then I press the tofu to squeeze even more of the water out. To do that, just get a chopping board and place some paper towel so that can soak up the moisture. You want enough paper towel to cover the tofu, so you can see I'm just laying that out on the chopping board there, then placing my block on top and folding it up like a birthday present so that the tofu's nicely snuggled in the paper towel. And I put the folded part on the bottom so that it holds together, and then I place another chopping board, or you could use books or weights or any flat heavy surface on top. Give it a little squish and I place even more weight on top and let that sit for about 20 to 30 minutes at least. And then I remove, and you can see how much water has come out of this, and I'll squeeze the towel just to show you how much water was in that tofu. And this really helps with the crispiness, but it also helps with how the tofu soaks in flavour. So if you want super flavourful tofu, don't skip this step. But of course, if you're in a rush, you can skip this step. You just won't have as crispy or flavourful. As you can see, a lot of water comes out off that tofu. Now you should have nicely pressed tofu ready to bake. So I'm going to square mine into bite-sized chunks by cutting across both ways to get nice chunks. It also helps with crispiness. You can make these chunks as thick or as thin as you like. I quite like a good mouthful of tofu covered in a lovely glaze. So as you can see, the texture inside is quite spongy because we've pressed that water out. Now I'm going to use salt, pepper, olive oil and corn flour. So I'm just going to put my tofu in a bowl so that it's easier to coat it. Then I'm going to start by adding some pepper and then seasoning with a generous helping of salt, and then a little bit of cornstarch, and the cornstarch is important for the crispiness, and then using olive oil, just a smidge, to help everything stick to the outside of the tofu. So as you can see, I'm coating that really well, shaking it up in the bowl, and I only use about a spoonful of cornstarch, so not too much. Then I'm just shaking that in the bowl so that it doesn't break the tofu too much. Some of it might be a bit broken, but that's not a bad thing. And then I'm laying them out evenly on some baking paper, and I'll be baking these at 200 degrees in the oven for probably about around 30 minutes, essentially until they're golden and crispy. So as you can see, it's important to lay them out evenly just to maximize the crispiness, so you don't want them piled on top of each other. It's a bit more time consuming, but it's definitely worth it in the end. And you can see some of my chunks are broken, which is absolutely fine. You just get lovely little crispy bits on the tofu. Once that's beautifully laid out, you're ready to pop that into your preheated oven. And like I say, leave that to bake for around 20 to 30 minutes, and then we'll be flipping it. In the meantime, we're going to do the glaze with some garlic, sriracha, sugar, vinegar, sesame oil, and soy sauce. These are the flavors I wanted to go with today, but you can glaze these any way you like. So I'm adding the soy sauce, some sriracha, as well as chopping up my garlic into a fine mince. Like I say, I've made these and glazed these with barbecue seasonings, with breadcrumbs, with sour, limey seasonings. You can really choose whatever direction you want to take this in. So now I'm adding the garlic into the sauce, making sure to get every last bit off the knife, as you can see. Then I'm going to put in a little bit of my vinegar, as well as a spoonful of sugar, which will really help make that crispy caramelized glaze, and some sesame oil for the flavor and also to help everything stick. By this point, your tofu should be nice and golden, so what I like to do is take it out, flip it over to make sure each side is golden, and put it back in the oven for another 5 to 10 minutes. Once you've done that and it's crispy on all sides, you're ready to glaze. So I'm getting my bowl and just popping my tofu in there. It should be cool enough to touch by the hand, and then I'll be tossing it into that lovely glaze that we've just created before spreading it back onto the baking sheet and pouring the juices over top and popping that back in the oven for this last bake, maximum 10 to 15 minutes, until everything is nice and sticky and bubbling, as you can see. So I take it out and again flip that over to make sure each side is coated in the glaze, which should now be cooked off, super fragrant and sticky. And then you're basically ready to serve. Now you can toss this into a stir fry, into a salad, whatever you like, but today I'm eating it just as it is. So I'm just plating that onto a plate, and you've got delicious, crunchy, flavorful, sticky tofu. And I've added a little bit of sesame seeds on top for some additional crunch and flavor. And it also looks good as well. Now all that's left to do is admire what you've just created, but not for too long, and dive in. This is an absolutely delicious way to cook tofu. Hope you enjoy, and let me know what you'd like next. Bye bye!